You ever notice how the most confident people you know aren't the ones who have everything figured out? They're actually the ones who look the most terrified before they do hard things. Yeah, I'm talking about your friend who always says yes to stuff, even though they're clearly nervous. The person at school who asks questions in class, even though their voice shakes. They're not naturally confident, they're just doing it anyway, and that's literally the only difference between them and everyone else. I used to think confidence was something you were born with. Like, some people got the confident gene and others got the anxious gene, and that was just your life. I wasted so many years waiting to feel confident before I did anything. I'd think, man, I'll talk to that girl when I feel more confident. I'll apply to that program when I feel ready. I'll speak up in class when I'm not nervous anymore. And guess what? None of those things ever happened, because that feeling never came. I was waiting for something that only exists after you actually take action. Here's what nobody tells you. Confidence isn't a feeling you have before you do something hard. That's the complete opposite of how it actually works. Confidence is literally what happens after you do the scary thing. Even though you didn't feel ready, it's the feeling you get afterwards when you realize you survived. That's the only real confidence that exists. Think about every time you felt genuinely confident about something. Can you remember a time you felt confident before you did it? Or did you always feel confident after you did it? After you survived it? After you realized it wasn't as bad as your brain told you it would be? That's confidence. That's the real thing. The reason this matters is because right now, you're probably waiting. You're waiting to feel brave enough. You're waiting to feel smart enough. You're waiting to feel worthy enough. And while you're waiting, life is passing. People who seem way more lucky, way more talented, way more naturally gifted than you, they're not waiting. They're just taking action while they're absolutely terrified. Your brain is working against you here. When you face something uncertain, something where the outcome isn't guaranteed, your brain triggers your fight or flight response. It's literally trying to keep you alive. Your brain sees a risk and it says, "Danger, don't do it." But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't know the difference between physical danger and social rejection. It doesn't know the difference between getting eaten by a lion and talking to someone new. So it treats them the same way. It floods you with adrenaline and fear and tells you to stop. But that fear isn't a message to stop. That fear is just your brain saying this matters to you. When you feel nervous about something, that's actually good information. It means you care. It means the outcome actually matters to you. And the people you think are naturally brave, they still get that feeling, like they've just learned to interpret it differently. They hear that fear and think, okay, this is important, let's go. Instead of, this is dangerous, let me avoid it. I remember being 17 and absolutely terrified to talk to a girl in my class. My hands were shaking, I was nauseous. I kept thinking I'd wait until I felt more confident. 3 years later, I realized I'd wasted so much time waiting for a feeling that was never going to come naturally. And that feeling only shows up after you actually do the thing. So let me tell you exactly how to actually build real confidence, because this is where it gets practical. Start so stupidly small that it feels almost pointless. If you're scared to speak in class, don't set a goal to participate every day. Just ask one question. One. That's your entire goal for the week. Your heart will race. Good. You still did it. Next week, 2 questions. You're literally training your brain that this situation isn't lethal. Your nervous system starts to realize, oh, okay, speaking in class doesn't kill me. Noted. If you're scared of rejection, start by getting rejected in tiny ways. Go into a store and ask for a discount you know they don't give. Ask a stranger for directions. Post something on social media that isn't perfectly edited. Get comfortable with people saying no or not caring. Because rejection isn't this huge catastrophe. It's just someone saying no. That's literally it. Nothing terrible happens. You keep existing. Your life continues. Here's the second part. Stop tying your entire value as a person to individual outcomes. This is where most people completely destroy their own confidence. They fail at one thing, and suddenly they're a failure. One person rejects them and they're unlovable. One bad performance and they're not talented. You're mixing together 2 completely different things. Your worth as a person is not determined by how one situation goes. You're a human who's learning, who's trying, who's developing. One bad conversation doesn't mean you're socially awkward. One failed interview doesn't mean you're not qualified. One person not interested in you doesn't define you. but your brain wants to make it mean something huge. That's the trap. Third, actually look at your evidence. Write down the hard things you've already done, the times you were scared and did it anyway, the conversations you thought would be disasters but weren't, the things you survived. Your brain tends to forget this stuff. It just focuses on the next scary thing. But you've got proof. You can do hard things. You've done them before. Fourth, stop comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see someone who seems naturally confident and you think they never feel fear. You're only seeing them at their best moment. You don't see them 5 minutes before overthinking everything. You don't see them after they got rejected. You don't see their failures and doubts. Everyone feels insecure. Everyone doubts themselves. The difference is, the people who actually win don't let those feelings stop them. So, what do you actually do starting today? Write down one thing you've been avoiding. Just one. Something that scares you. Something you want but you haven't done because the fear is too loud. Tomorrow, do the absolute smallest version of that thing possible. Not the big version, the smallest version. You're not trying to be a hero tomorrow. You're just taking one single step. Then notice what happens. Did you survive? Did the world end? Did anything actually bad happen? Probably not. Your brain files this information away. Nervous but safe. Nothing terrible happened. And then next week you do it again, slightly bigger. That's the process. That's actually how this works. You're not waiting until you feel ready. You can't wait for that because ready doesn't come naturally. Ready only comes after you've done it before. So you do it unready. You do it while you're still figuring it out. And that's where the actual growth happens. That's where actual confidence gets built. The people you admire, the ones who seem like they were just born confident, they didn't start later than you. They started earlier. They started when they were just as scared as you are right now. They just didn't wait around for permission. They didn't wait for the fear to disappear. They just started. Real confidence gets built through doing things while you're still nervous about them. It gets built by failing and getting back up. It gets built by treating your fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal that something matters to you. It gets built by repetition, by trying, by showing up even when you don't feel ready. You're not broken for feeling scared. You're not lacking something that other people have. You're just at the beginning. And the beginning is always uncomfortable, but you don't stay there forever if you keep moving. So pick one thing today, one small thing. Do it. Then you can honestly say, I did something I was afraid of and I'm still here. That's real confidence. That's the only kind that actually means anything.